Welcome back to our tutorial series. We are starting a brand new project today. We are building an age calculator for this project. It will determine your exact age from your birth date. Looking at our final project preview, you can see a container box. Inside this box, we have a title that says Age Calculator. Directly beneath the title, there is a date input field. For example, you can click right on this field. This action opens a date picker where you select your birth date. I will select a date from the year 2002 for this demonstration. Let us use that as our example birthday. When you click the Calculate Age button, the application determines your current age based on the date you selected. It then displays the result clearly, for instance, showing that your age is 21 years old. Our next step is to create the structure of the page using HTML. After that, we will style everything with CSS to achieve a modern and clean design. We will then use JavaScript to make everything come alive. The script will take the date the user enters. It will instantly calculate and display their exact age. That wraps up our overview of the final project. We will now move on to creating the structure for our age calculator. Join me in the next section to start building the HTML. Welcome to our Age Calculator project. We will build this application completely from scratch. In this section, we will focus on building the HTML structure for our project. We will create all the necessary elements for the Age Calculator web page. This includes setting up the visual parts you see on the screen. We will also add the input fields for the user. These are the core components people will directly interact with on the website. I have placed the final version of our project right here for you to see. This allows you to compare your own work against the completed example at every single step, giving you a clear target to aim for as we build it together. The very first step in our project is creating a new folder on your computer. This folder will hold all of our project files to keep everything organized. In my case, I prefer to create this folder on my desktop, but you can choose any location on your computer that is convenient for you. Now we will go ahead and create a brand new folder to hold all of the files related to this project. I'm going to name the folder after our project, calling it Age Calculator, so it's clear and easy to find later. Once you have created this folder, you can open it directly in Visual Studio Code. Just right-click on the folder you just made. From the context menu that appears, select the Open with Code option. This will launch the editor with your project folder already loaded and ready. We can go ahead and close the Welcome tab inside Visual Studio Code. You will notice the Age Calculator folder is now the active workspace for our project. Let's create our first file in two simple ways. You can click the New File icon at the top of the Explorer panel. Another method is to right-click on the empty space in the Explorer area. This action will open a menu where you can select the New File option. We will give this essential file the name index.html. This gives us a completely empty file where we can begin writing the HTML structure for our project. To quickly create the basic HTML5 structure, we can type a single exclamation mark. After typing the exclamation mark, just press the Tab key on your keyboard. This action will automatically generate the entire boilerplate code for you. Now we have our document type declaration. This line tells the browser exactly which version of HTML we are writing our page in. Since we are working with HTML5, we only need to specify the word HTML in this declaration. Next, we have the HTML tag. This tag includes a language attribute. We set this attribute to English. This tells the browser the primary language for all the text on our page. Next, we have the heads section. This area contains metadata tags and a title tag. These elements provide important information about our web page. Our first meta tag sets the character encoding for the web page. HTML5 specifically recommends using UTF-8 for this purpose. UTF-8 is the global standard because it covers nearly every character and symbol from all writing systems around the world. This comprehensive coverage guarantees all users can see the text on our site correctly. It prevents any problems with displaying special characters. Next up is the compatibility tag. This tag specifically handles older Internet Explorer browsers. It instructs them to use their most recent rendering engine. This ensures the website displays properly for all users. Next up is the viewport meta tag. This tag instructs the browser to adjust the website's width. It ensures the site's width matches the screen width of your specific device. This viewport setting makes the website display correctly on different devices. It adjusts the layout to fit perfectly on a mobile phone's smaller screen. It also scales things appropriately for a larger desktop monitor. The initial scale setting controls the starting zoom level for the page. It is set to 100% by default. This means the website loads at its normal size without any automatic zoom. Next, we have the title tag for our web page. Right now, it just says Document as a placeholder. We will change this to match our project name. To preview our project in real time, we can use the Live Server extension in Visual Studio Code to see our changes instantly. If you have not installed this extension yet, you need to open the Extensions panel first. You can do this by pressing Ctrl+Shift+X on your keyboard. Then you can search for Live Server in the Marketplace. This particular extension is essential for our Age Calculator project. You should install this Live Server extension right now. Once you find the Live Server extension, click the Install button. I already have this extension installed on my system. It is ready to use right away. With the extension installed, we can click the Go Live button. This action opens our project in the default web browser. We can then see our web page appear instantly. To launch the website in your browser, you simply click the Go Live button here. This action opens your project directly in the web browser. I suggest you place your web browser window on one side of your screen. You should place your Visual Studio Code editor on the other side. This arrangement allows you to see your code changes appear instantly in the browser as you type. Currently, you can see the page title in the Browser tab. It currently displays the default text, which is the word Document. Let's update the title of our page to Age Calculator. This clearly reflects the purpose of our project for anyone who visits the website. You can see the title updating instantly. This happens because I have autosave enabled in my editor. Every time I type something new, the autosave feature kicks in. This ensures the file is instantly updated. Then, the change appears live in the browser right away. Next, we move into the body section of our page. We are going to add a main container here. In the final version of our project, you can see a container element. This container has a clean white background. The main page body behind it is a soft gray color. To create this container, we will add a div element. We will assign it a class name of container. Simply type the word dot followed by container. This action prompts the editor to suggest a div element with the class of container. You can accept this suggestion by pressing either the Tab key or the Enter key on your keyboard. Next, we add a heading for our calculator. We use a heading 1 tag for this purpose. We will write the text as Age Calculator. Next, we will create a form container. Inside this container, we will add a label. The label will instruct the user to enter their date of birth. Following the label, we will add an input field. Finally, we will include a button. We are going to add a label for the birthday input field. This label will display the text asking the user to enter their date of birth. Next, we will add the input field for the date. This input field will have a specific type set to date. When you click on this field, a date picker will appear. You can easily select your birth date from the calendar. This input element uses a special date type. We will assign it an ID called birthday. This ID will be important for connecting our form to the JavaScript later. We will also add a name attribute to this input field. We will set this name attribute to birthdays. Perfect. Let's add our input element to the form now. For now, we can hard-code a placeholder text such as "Your age is 21 years old" to test the layout visually. For demonstration purposes, we have temporarily written a static age. We have hard-coded the text to read, "Your age is 21 years old." That gives us a good placeholder for our results. Right now, we have hard-coded the age display for demonstration purposes. In the next section, we will use JavaScript to calculate the user's actual age based on their birthday. We will also style the entire project to match the final version. This styling will center the container on the page and add a hover effect to the button. We will also stack the elements vertically as shown in the example. That wraps up everything for the HTML portion of our age calculator. Now we will move on to the styling. In the next section, we will build the CSS for our project. In our previous section, we successfully built the HTML foundation for our project. In this section of the tutorial, we will style our project using CSS. We will apply the visual design to make it look like the final version. Our goal in this section is to design the project. We will make it look exactly like the final version. Our next step is to create the main container for our content. We will then center this container on the page for a balanced layout. Our first step in this process is to create a brand new CSS file. This file will hold all of our styling instructions. I will open the File Explorer panel using the keyboard shortcut, Ctrl-Shift-E. We can create a new file in this panel and name it style.css. To make our styles take effect, we must connect our CSS file to the HTML. We do this by placing a special link inside the head section of our HTML document. To do this, we will navigate into the head section of our HTML and place the link there. For example, I place this code at the end of the head section right after the title tag. I simply type out the word link into my editor. I then select the third auto-suggestion from the list that appears. This specific suggestion is the one designated for linking a CSS style sheet. That selection automatically generates a complete link tag for me. This tag establishes the relationship between the HTML document and the external CSS file. It also sets the address for the CSS file to style.css within the href attribute. Now we are ready to begin styling our project. We will use our new CSS file to add the design. Let's begin by styling the body section of our page. We start by removing the default margin from the body. This eliminates any unwanted space around the edges. We will set the margin value to 0. This removes all default spacing around the body. This step removes the default margin that browsers automatically add. Next, we will add a padding of 20 pixels to the body. This creates some breathing room and space around the edges of our page. Let's update the font family for the body. We will set it to a sans serif font like Montserrat. We should place this font name in double quotes. This ensures a modern and clean look for our text. We need to wrap the font name in double quotes. If the system cannot find this specific font, it will use a generic sans serif font as a backup. Let's change the background color for the body. We will set it to a light gray shade. Let's change the background color to a light gray shade. We will use the hex code F7FR7FR7 for this. The body section is now fully styled. We have set the margin, padding, font, and background color. Now let us begin styling our container element. This is the div element that has a class of container. Now I will write .container to target our container class. I want to change its background color to white. You can write the color as the word white. Alternatively, you can use the hexadecimal code FF. Let's add a box shadow to our container. We will start with 0 offset for both the X and Y directions. Next, we will set the blur radius. Initially, I considered 20 pixels, but I believe 10 pixels would look much nicer. For the shadow color, we can use RGBA values. RGBA stands for red, green, blue, and alpha. We will set the red, green, and blue values all to 0 for a black color. For the alpha channel, which controls transparency, we will use 0.2. This gives us 20% transparency for a subtle shadow effect. Now we can see the box shadow effect applied to our container. Let's add some padding of 20 pixels to create comfortable space inside the container. Let's adjust the browser zoom level to see the actual size of our project. If we open the preview now, we can observe its current appearance. You can now see the container has taken on its full size. Next, I will set the maximum width for our container to be 600 pixels. This controls how wide it can become on larger screens. To perfectly center the container on the page, we will set its top and bottom margins to 0. Then we set the left and right margins to auto, which handles the horizontal centering. You can see it is now centered nicely. Even on smaller screens, we still have some breathing room around the container. This space comes from the 20 pixels of padding we previously applied to the body element. The container styling is now fully complete. It has a clean white background with a subtle shadow. We have centered it on the page and added rounded corners. Let us also add a border radius to the container. This will give the container's corners a nice, soft, rounded appearance. We will now add a border radius of 5 pixels. This will give the container those nice, rounded corners we want. Next up, we will style the main heading of our page. This heading is the H1 tag that displays the text, Age Calculators. Let's style the heading by targeting the H1 selector. Let's make the heading stand out more. We will increase the font size to 36 pixels. This creates a much stronger visual presence. The heading now stands out with a much larger font size. This increased prominence makes it far easier to read at a glance. To perfectly center the heading, we apply the Text Align Center property. Next, we remove any top margin by setting it to 0. We also add a bottom margin of 20 pixels to create space below the heading. Our heading styling is now complete. The H1 element has been fully styled. Let's move on to styling the form section. We will target this part using its form class. We will now target the form section for styling. We can select it by using its class name. We are going to change the display property to flex. This will initially place all the form elements side by side. Next, we change the flex direction to column. This stacks the elements vertically on top of each other. Finally, we use Align Item Center to horizontally align everything to the center. Next, we will focus on styling the label element. We can target the label directly in our style sheet. We target the label element next in our CSS file. We make the font weight bold for emphasis. We also add a margin to the bottom of the label. This margin creates space below the label. A value of 10 pixels works well for this spacing. The label is now styled to our preference. Let us turn our attention to the input field. We will apply several styles to make it visually appealing. To style our input field, we can simply use the input selector. Let's begin by adding some padding. We will set the padding to 8 pixels. This padding creates some comfortable space around the input field. Let's style the border for our input field. We will use a simple 1 pixel solid line. This border style is clean and functional. This creates a solid line border for a clean look. We will use the color CCC for this border. This color code gives us a pleasant light gray shade. Let's add a border radius of 5 pixels to create nice rounded corners. We will set the width to 100% so it fills the available space. We can also set a maximum width of 300 pixels. This means the input field will expand up to that point but will not get any wider. This ensures the input field takes up the full available width on smaller screens. It will not exceed a maximum width of 300 pixels on larger screens. If the available space is larger than that, the maximum width will be fixed at 300 pixels. These settings give our input field a clean and functional look. They provide a good balance of padding, border, and width constraints. Our input field now looks great with its styling. We can move on to the button element. We will apply some styles to the button next. It appears we forgot to add a button in our previous step. We missed the button in our form. We need to add a button element right after this input field. Now we are going to add a button to our form. This button will allow the user to submit their information. We will add a button with the text "Calculate Age" on it. This button will be used to trigger the age calculation. Let's begin styling our button by targeting the button element in our CSS file. We need to select a background color for our button element. We will add this color property in the next step. Let's give our button a pleasant blue background color. We will use the hex code 007BFF for this. Let's change the text color to white. This will make the button text much easier to read against the new background. We will also remove the button's border entirely. We remove the border entirely by setting it to none. Next, we add some internal space with padding. We use 10 pixels of padding on the top and bottom. For the left and right sides, we use 20 pixels of padding. Let's give the button some rounded corners. We'll set the border radius to 5 pixels. This gives our button those nice rounded corners. Let's add a top margin of 10 pixels to create some space. We will also set the cursor to a pointer. This will change the mouse cursor when hovering over the button. When your mouse cursor hovers over the button, it will change into a hand. This clear visual change indicates the button is clickable and interactive. Let's make the button respond when a user hovers over it. We can achieve this effect using a special hover pseudo-class. This will let us change the button's appearance as soon as the mouse pointer touches it. Let's change the background color when a user hovers over the button. This provides a clear visual cue that the element is interactive. For example, we will change the background to a darker blue shade. This creates a nice visual change when you hover over the button. We can also add a smooth transition for the color change. This transition will take about 0.3 of a second. For example, I want to add a transition effect for the background color. This transition will last for 0.3 seconds. It uses an ease function for a smoother visual change. You will see the color shift happen gradually and smoothly. We are now going to style the final element. This is the paragraph that will display the calculated age. We can target it using its unique ID of results. To target the results section, we use its unique ID. We then apply a top margin of 20 pixels to this element. We set the font size to 24 pixels. We also make the font weight bold for better visibility. This provides a clear and prominent result. That should cover everything we need for styling the result paragraph. The styling for this element is now complete. Our project styling is now complete. Let us adjust the container's position for better visual spacing. We will add a top margin to move the entire container down a bit on the page. Let's add a margin of 50 pixels to the top of the container. This will push the entire calculator down from the top of the page. Here is the final result of our styled age calculator. You can see our complete design with all the visual elements in place. As you can see at the top, we have our title nicely styled. The input field and button have also received their full design. The result section is now styled and ready as well. In our upcoming section, we will work with JavaScript to bring our project to life. We will retrieve the birth date information from the input field. We will then perform a calculation to determine the user's age. Finally, we will display the calculated age inside the designated results area. In the next section, we will add the JavaScript functionality. We will make the calculator work by dynamically reading the input data. Then we will calculate the user's age and display the final result. We have just finished working on the CSS portion of our project in the previous section. In this section, we will build the JavaScript functionality for our project. We will write code that calculates a person's age based on the birthday they enter into the input field. Our first step involves creating a new JavaScript file. This file will contain all our logic. Let's head back over to Visual Studio Code now. Let me open up the Explorer section. I will do this by pressing the Ctrl, Shift, and E keys together. Let's create a new file in this directory. We will name this file index.js. After creating the file, we need to connect it to our main web page. I'm going to close the style CSS file now. This will help us focus on the JavaScript code. Next, we will connect our new JavaScript file to the main web page. We do this by adding a special script tag inside the index.html file. This tag should be placed at the very end of the body section. This ensures that all the page content loads before the JavaScript runs. We start typing the letters SC to accept the script tag suggestion from the editor. We then set the source attribute to index.js. This address works perfectly because both our files are located in the same directory. We only need to use the simple file name for the source. We put the script tag at the very end of the body for an important reason. We need all the HTML elements to be fully loaded by the browser first. This ensures our JavaScript code can successfully find and interact with those elements. If we load the script earlier, those elements would not yet exist on the page. Our first step is to set up an event listener for the Calculate Age button. We want the application to respond when a user clicks on it. Let's focus our attention on this specific button. Our next step involves targeting this specific button with our code. We need to create a reference to it in our JavaScript file. To bring the button into our JavaScript, we need to target it in the document. We will add an ID to the button element. We can call this ID btn. Then we will create a constant variable for the button element. This constant will be named btn element. We set this variable to target the document object. We use the getElementById method to find our button. We pass the ID name btn to this method. This allows us to access the button in our JavaScript code. Now that we have access to the button element, we can add an event listener to it. We use the addEventListener method for this purpose. We attach an event listener to our button element. We set this listener to wait specifically for a click event. When a user clicks the button, it will trigger our custom function to run. We will call the calculateAge function. Then we will define that function right after this line. Let's create our function now. We will call this function calculateAge. For this initial test, I will add a simple console log to confirm our button click is working. We will log the word clicked to the browser's console. Let's move our website over to the right side of the screen. We will open the browser's developer console by pressing the F12 key. I will clear any existing messages from the console log. Now, we can click the calculateAge button to test our function. You can see that our console log is working correctly. The word clicked appears in the console every time we press the button. Now we are moving beyond simple console messages. Our next goal is to compute the user's actual age using the birthday information they provided. We need to retrieve the data entered by the user into the birthday input field. This is our first step to begin the calculation process. The input field we are using has an ID called birthday. We can select this element in our JavaScript code using a similar method to what we just did for the button. Let me duplicate this line of code. I will use the keyboard shortcut Alt+Shift plus the down arrow key. This action will create a copy of the line directly below it. I need to change the ID from btn to birthday. I will select both instances using the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-D. I will select both of these instances with my cursor. I am going to change the text to say birthday. We are assigning the element with the ID of birthday to a constant variable named birthday element. This constant now gives us direct access to the birthday input field. We have successfully stored the input element in a variable. This gives us full access to its properties and methods. First, we need to get the value from the birthday input field. We can do this by accessing the value property of our birthday element. Let us check what information we have captured from the input field. We will now print this value to the console for verification. Let me change the input value to the 4th of April, 2023. When I click the calculateAge button, the console logs the value we just entered. Let's try selecting a different date, such as January 13th, 2006. You will see that the new date is printed in the console. This happens because our code is logging the value. We have successfully retrieved the input value. We need to check if the user has entered any information. If the birthday value is an empty string, we will display an alert. This alert will ask the user to please enter their birthday. Currently, the input field is completely empty. When I click the calculateAge button now, an alert message appears. This alert tells the user to please enter their birthday. This validation step prevents any calculations from running with empty input. It ensures we only proceed when we have actual data to work with. Otherwise, if a birthday value has been entered, we will proceed to calculate the age. We will store the result by calling a function named getAge. We will pass the birthday value into this function to perform the calculation. Next, we will create the function that handles the calculation. We will write the function that calculates the age. This function will take the birthday value as its input. The first step involves getting today's date from your system. We need this current date to perform the calculation. We will subtract the user's birth date from this current date to find their age. To get today's date, we will create a new date object. This object will automatically pull the current date and time from your browser. This date object is a built-in constructor method provided by JavaScript. It allows us to create new instances that represent specific moments in time. This constructor method pulls the current date directly from your browser. Let us check what the current date is by logging it to the console. I will remove the previous log statement first. Let me enter a date and click the Calculate Age button. You can see we are getting the current date from the browser. This gives us a full timestamp, like the 6th of April 2023 at 11 o'clock. Our next step is to use this current date for the calculation. For example, if we want to get just the year from the current date, we can use the method called getFullYear. Let us choose a date first to avoid any errors. We will clear the console and then click the Calculate Age button. We can see the result of 2023 printed in the console. We can use that exact same approach to retrieve the year from the birthday value. This method will work perfectly for our calculation. Let us attempt to console log the birthday value using the getFullYear method. We choose a date and click Calculate Age without getting an error. We must remember this value is a string and not a date object yet. We need to create a new date object by passing the birthday value into the constructor. This conversion is essential for using date methods properly. To get the year from the birthday, we need to create a new date object from the input value. We can then call the getFullYear method on that new date object. Let us test this process to see the result. We can see that the console now displays the year 2023. This output comes from the birthday value we just entered. Let us test this with a different year. For example, imagine the user was born in 1985. Now we can click on the Calculate Age button. The result shows the birth year we entered. We have the current year from the current date object. We also have the year from the user's birthday date. We can now calculate the person's actual age. We do this by subtracting their birth year from the current year. We calculate the age by subtracting the birth year from the current year. We get the current year from the current date object. We also get the year from the birthday date object. That makes sense because we have successfully subtracted the years. Let's test our calculation by logging the age to the console. For this example, I will enter the year 1975. You can see the console now shows an age of 48 years old. This current calculation for age is not always entirely accurate. The issue involves how we account for the months and days. For example, I am recording this video in April of 2023. The person born before April would be considered 1 year older. Someone born after April would be younger by a year. We need to account for the months as well in our calculation. This is important because a person's birthday might occur later in the current year. If their birthday has not yet passed this year, we must subtract 1 from the calculated age. If the person's birthday falls later in the current year than today's date, we need to subtract 1 year from the calculated age. This adjustment ensures the age is not overestimated. We need to adjust the age calculation by subtracting 1 year in certain cases. This adjustment is necessary when the person's birthday has not yet occurred in the current year. Now we need to account for the months as well. Next, I will create a constant variable to store the months. This variable will be named months. We can simply copy this same line of code. We will replace the getFullYear method with another method called getMonths. We now have access to the month values from both dates. This will allow us to compare them for a more accurate calculation. We are going to set up a conditional check at this point. This check is necessary to handle different date scenarios. We need to check if the month difference is a negative number. This situation occurs when the current month comes before the birthday month in the calendar year. Alternatively, if the month difference is 0, we have to check the days. This means the person's birthday month is the same as the current month. After this condition, we check for the day of the month. We compare the current day with the birthday day. We use the getDate method for this comparison. We check if the current day is less than the birthday day. We need to account for 2 specific situations where the calculated age needs to be adjusted. If the current month is earlier in the year than the birth month, the person has not had their birthday yet. We also need to check the day of the month if the months are the same. If the current day is earlier than the birthday, we also subtract 1 from the age. To decrease the age by 1 in this situation, we can use the decrement operator. We simply write age minus minus. For instance, if our calculated age is 24, using the double minus operator will decrease that value. This operation will change the final result to 23 years old. This approach will solve our problem with the date calculation. After this adjustment, the function will return the calculated age. We will return the calculated age value from this function. This return value is what the main function will use. This function returns the calculated age as its output. We then receive that age value here inside our main calculateAge function. Let's take that calculated age and log it to the console to see the result. Let's test our calculation with a specific example. We will choose a date and see the result. Let us test this with a specific example. We will choose the year 2022. Let's pick January 6th of 2012 as our example. The calculation shows the person is 11 years old. This result is now displayed correctly in our application. However, if the birthday is in a month after April, for example May, we get a different result. Let's run a test to see if our calculation is correct and identify any issues. We want to change the age value later in our code. Using a constant variable prevents us from doing that. We cannot use a constant variable in this case. We should use the let keyword instead. Let's change the age variable from a constant to a let so we can update it. Let us test this functionality once more to ensure everything is working correctly. Let us test this with a birth year of 2012. We tested January 6, 2012 as the input. This date correctly calculated an age of 11 years old. Let us test a birthday that occurs after the current month. For instance, if we select a date in October, the result is 10 years old. This person would be 1 year younger. That is because their birthday falls after the current date in the calendar year. Our calculation is now working correctly and providing the accurate age. Now we need to display the calculated age to the user on the web page. It should appear right here in the result area instead of just being logged to the console. We need to retrieve the element from our web page that will display the result. This will let us show the calculated age to the user directly on the page. We need to target the paragraph element where we will display the result. This paragraph has been assigned the specific ID of result. We need to locate that specific paragraph element on the page. We can do this by using its unique identifier. We create a constant variable called result. This variable will store a reference to our result paragraph. We use the document method getElementById to locate this specific element. We pass in the string of result as the element identifier. We will update the text content of our result element. This is how we display the calculated age to the user. We will set the inner text of the result element. We will create a dynamic message that says your age. The backtick character is located on your keyboard. You can find it above the tab key. We are going to create the text for the result display. We start by writing the phrase, your age is. We then use a $sign and curly braces to insert the age variable. After that, we need to check if the age is exactly 1. If it is, we use the word year. If the age is any other number, we use the word years instead. This ensures the sentence is grammatically correct for every age. Let me add a quick condition here to handle the grammar properly. Next, we need to handle the grammar for the final output. We check if the calculated age is greater than 1. If it is, we use the word years. Otherwise, we use the singular form year. We then append the word old to complete the sentence. For example, if someone was born in February of last year, the calculation would show their age as 1 year old. For a person born much earlier, like in January 1990, your calculated age would be 33 years old. We have successfully implemented the age calculation feature with JavaScript. This marks the completion of our project's core functionality. Let us take a moment to review the steps we have completed. We have successfully implemented the core functionality for our age calculator. We've obtained the necessary elements from our web page. We accomplished this using the JavaScript method called getElementById. We have set up an event listener for the Calculate button. This allows our code to react when a user clicks on it. When someone clicks the button, it triggers the calculateAge function. Inside this function, we retrieve the birthday information. We get this value by accessing the birthday element's value property. If the birthday field is left empty, we will display an alert message. This message will ask the user to please enter their birthday. Otherwise, we will call another function named getAge. We will pass the birthday value into this function. This function will calculate the person's age. It does this by comparing the current date with the provided birthday. To calculate the exact age, we have a special condition. This condition checks if the person's birth month is before the current month. It also checks if the current month is the same as the birth month. If the current day of the month is before the person's birthday, we also adjust the age. In any of these cases, we subtract 1 from the calculated age. This gives us the final, correct age to return. We will then insert this calculated text into the result element using the inner text property. We also implemented a conditional check to ensure the final sentence is grammatically correct. That completes our JavaScript age calculator project. We have successfully built a functional application from start to finish. I truly hope you enjoyed building this project with me. I hope you gained valuable knowledge and practical skills from our work together. I am excited to see you in our next project, where we will learn even more together.